What up? I'm Pusher, and today we're talking about texture in music. Let's lead with a quote from Jacob Collier. The thing with music education is that it is good at teaching technique, but not texture, he continues. You only learn about that from listening to music and experimenting on your own. Jesus Christ. So let's dive into texture. First, let's do a case study called
When Texture Goes Wrong.
Back in 2015, a new textural trend in pop music started arguably with the song Lean On by Major Lazer. Lean On uses a very specific musical texture that I'm going to dub
The slow EDM kalimba.
Here's the texture of
The slow EDM kalimba.
from Lean On by Major Lazer.
Do you recall, not long ago?
Fun fact, this was the first song to ever get a billion with a B streams on Spotify. I tell you this because it means one thing: money. Money. Serious music industry money. And so began a cycle of years of rip-offs that begin to this day. Anyway, for better or worse, in March of 2015,
The slow EDM kalimba.
was let out of the proverbial bottle. And so began years of ripping off that texture because it was just so goddamn profitable. Again, here's that
Slow EDM kalimba.
from Lean On by Major Lazer.
Do you recall, not long ago?
Almost exactly 1 year later, Cheap Thrills by Sia came out. About 7 months later, in October of 2016, Don't Wanna Know by Maroon 5.
I don't wanna know who's taking you home.
And then, of course, in January of 2017, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. This is not an exhaustive list, but I'm sure that all of you have heard these or some other ones like these. And so it was that the military-industrial entertainment complex, oiled by the blood of songwriters like you and me, churned out hits again and again and again. Texture is an incredibly powerful tool for conveying different emotions, different sonic moods, but you might not necessarily pick up on that listening to people do the same goddamn thing over and over for years and years.
For the profit motive.
So why don't we listen to something that uses texture in a more interesting way? Take a journey through time with me back to a few years ago when I was listening to St. Vincent's Actor album and started to think, hold on, all these songs are really different. Really different. Some songs were harsh and abrasive. Some songs were smooth and luscious. Some were airy. Some were heavy. So I made this, a big list of arrangement styles, which is what I was calling texture at the time. Anyway, every time a section of a song combined different elements in different ways, I would make note of it, under categories of what seemed like the primary element. Was it the bass? Was it the chords? Was it the leads? Was it the vocals? Was it the drums? What's the main thing that we're following? And what's the other stuff involved in it? And how does it support the main thing? You can use this, but it's not a good list. But what it did was get me thinking more about the problem of how to make instruments combine into different overall textures.
What a journey.
Anyway, I'm just going to cut out some sections from St. Vincent's Actor, and I'm going to play them for you now, and you can just hear the difference in texture at different points in this album.
Just like an amnesiac, trying to get my senses back. H-E-L-P. Honey, the party you. So I walked away.
What a journey.
After I edit that, I assume that will have been an interesting example of how one person can use a bunch of different textures creatively on one album to create what is a pretty substantial opus in her career. Anyway, I hope this gets you thinking about texture as a specific, actionable thing to study and think about and be more adventurous with in your creative process. Let's all get better at this goddamn thing together. In fact, if you want to, here's a listening experiment. Go listen to any music at all, whether you know it well or not, and see what happens with the texture throughout the song.